Hey everybody, Texas Stroker here, Lance's Performance Shop, Lone Star at Mopars.com. Saturday afternoon. This never works well. Just never focuses. There you go, it did, since I trash talked it beforehand. But if you caught that in the upper right hand corner of the watch, 99. That's outside, and you can imagine inside. And, if I seem distraught or distant from the camera, it's probably because I'm looking for tarantulas and or sun scorpion spider things. I think it was 2 nights ago I killed a tarantula, and then last night I came in, thought I was going to get a lot done, but the shop had flooded from the door. And as I was cleaning that and straddling the shop vac, taking the filter off, kind of a tight quarters area, I spotted one of those, I can't remember if you crossed a large spider with a scorpion, it was basically that thing. And unfortunately, it was vertical, like it wasn't on the floor where I could just stomp it, and it was on something soft that's going to deflect. And I was aware of that, but I also didn't want to come in with a hard item behind it and then smash it between the two, because it would probably jump. So I grabbed the closest hammer and went to town, and of course got impact, but the thing survived. It went underneath a mower. I rolled the mower, not thinking it would come out immediately, and it did. And I was unable to get to it, so it ran underneath the charger. And somewhere in the shop, there's a very large, probably still pissed off spider-scorpion hybrid thing. But nonetheless, we'll be dealing with some other things. This is nothing, well, I guess some of it could tie in here with what we're doing, but it's basically hot, and I'm a little leery. So what we're going to drive into is what I kind of thought I was going to get to last night, but couldn't, because then I wound up cleaning. And, searching for the stupid thing. But what we've got going is some pretty cool stuff. I started to compile this with a lot of other items, and then of course I have a niche audience that would prefer that, but then on the flip side, everyone else and their dog, the vocal people, would, you know, it's too long, I'm not going to watch that. So hey, we're going to try to condense it, and let's start that now with this. Once again, going back to the National Tool Warehouse stuff, the dirt cheap mechanics time savers things that are a little concerning to me, and then of course that Titan gearless ratchet there by the Koken. We did that video last night. I'd wanted these for a really long time, and be danged, National Tool Warehouse didn't have a couple of them for a killer price. Now, obviously, it's not like these have been out of stock or impossible to get. It's just, I hadn't really wanted to pay for them, so I didn't have them. And I got what I consider a pretty solid deal here. So these are from Mayhew. They're both their dual drive bit sets, and you would typically be spending quite a bit on these things. We'll get into details here in a little bit on why. But basically, the winning deal, and really what I kind of wanted the most anyway, was this one. This would be the 10-piece hex. That was $47.60. You could go online right now, and you're probably going to be spending close to double that. Probably in like the 75 to 95 range, depending on the retailer, if they hit you with freight and stuff like that. I then think, whoa, that's a great buy. And what else do they have? They did not have the metric. They had triple square, which I temporarily abstained from. I kind of wanted to get these and check them out first. Spoiler alert, I do think I'll put them on there. They also had, they may have not had the Phillips bit ones in. I think it's a mix of screwdriver type bits. That one wasn't near as cheap if it was in stock, I don't remember. But the Torx I felt like was a fair buy at $65.34. This was a phenomenal buy. So $47.65, and you think, man, you should have grabbed the Metric Hex. Well, we did from Zorro. Since I had it on my mind, and I was like, you know what, that's really good prices, let me check, make sure, yeah, because this, at Zorro, the MSRP would be $79.89, basically $80, and of course we got it with a discount, so we came in around the $60 mark instead. That makes all three of these a fantastic purchase, in my opinion. And we will get started with what I wanted the most, which is, again, right here. Now you're going to see that American flag. If I zoom in, you're maybe going to be able to see the fine print underneath it. Assembled in the USA with domestic and global components. Right? So that's assembled in the USA. I believe these would probably be made in Taiwan. Now the problem is I don't know the breakdown here. Alright, since I don't know, it's wrong of me to say anything, but view this as you would DeWalt, okay? Stuff comes in, you know, unassembled, and then they assemble it and finish it out, and it's assembled in America type of a thing. Because if you roll the box down, you're going to see... Where do they have it? I thought I'd seen it on here. Dadgum. Maybe it's on a different box, but I do believe this is like a combination of Taiwan and America. I just can't give you the breakdown. What I can give you the breakdown on is this is part number 16004. And yes, this comes on a rail. It does have a lifetime warranty, and most importantly, let's say that you just have a need for multiple 3/16ths for some reason. You can purchase these individually. It might be hard to track those down. You'll probably have to email Mayhew and inquire with them about, you know, retailers or if they sell direct or something. But these set contents here, we've got eighth through half, 5/32, 9/64, 3/16, 7/32, quarter, 5/16, 3/8, 7/16, and half. The bottom line there, 5/16 to half, and then the quarter, that's probably my 5 most used sizes, so that's okay. You got to understand, though, these are kind of special. Number one, they're extremely low profile. Number two, they're even more low profile when you can consider what they do. Now, dual drive, you're probably thinking, like, what's the deal? You know, does the inside have, like, inverted hex or security or something, and you dump them down? Well, let's take a look at what they say, and then we'll go into what we want to say. So, unique dual drive design allows the bit to be driven by a ratchet, which you can kind of see there, socket spinner, box or opened-end wrench. That's 4 unique setups, okay? That'll come into play here in a second. These have a proprietary heat treat for added durability and strength. Again, to me, titanium nitride coating, I'm not sure what strength it adds. I guess there might be a little bit to that. Again, it kind of seems dumb until you've like seen what people do in like high-end race engines with coatings and stuff. And like, oh, yeah, that did make a difference. So I'm not going to question it, but what I do know titanium nitride to do is it will actually do very well at improving the wearability, if you will. So if we had the same set of bits that we just yanked from the factory before the coating process, and you use them in the exact same application one after another, you would see, in theory, wear on the uncoated bit much sooner than you would on the titanium nitride. It's kind of like an extended service plan built into your tool, I guess is the way to look at it. In terms of the strength gains, I would be interested in having numbers on that. I'll take them at their word, but kind of remain an unknown there. Titanium coated for maximum wear resistance and rust prevention. That's another big thing. Any bit like this, stubby, hex, bit socket, long, short, whatever, S2 tool steel, anything, the black oxide, you know, it kind of wears over time, but if you just have like a standard bit, you handle that, right? And the oil from your skin, the moisture in the air, the environment that it's in, whatever, you'll start to see those flash rust. That's never cool, and that is another selling point to the titanium nitride. You might not care about the longer service life. You might not care or question severely what they mean by added strength, but just not having your brand new rail of bits flash rust overnight, that could be peace of mind. So, and again, this is how they come. They're stubby. They don't even really advertise that, which is crazy. You know, like if I did the marketing on this somewhere on here, this label, I would have stubby, and I would list the sizes, and I might even like compare versus a standard bit. But I guess they think that's implied. But I mean, if you just saw this in a retail setting, you'd be like, oh, okay, hex bits, and then you'd see these others, and you'd be like, oh, I might pick those. But the main reason for purchasing this is really just the stubby nature of the bit. So let's go ahead and get this thing out. These are kind of unique to me for the simple reason I kind of like the rail. Okay, I hate that it's backwards to me because I read left to right. I would prefer to have 1/8 here and 1/2 inch there, but I don't think I have rails like this. I've seen them. This is similar to stuff Wright does, but this is real thick. You'll also note the structure here. It looks like if you pulled the clips, you could, you know, run screws through it, but it's a pretty thick, solid little rail. There's not much flex to it. Like, this is a solid, rigid piece of plastic. The way this would work, you've got a hanging hole here. I think you could also, again, probably run screws through that if you wanted to, or you wanted to hang it from somewhere else. So picture it like this, picture it like this. It's also, it's going to sit flat really well. A lot of times bits like this would come on spring steel rails, even if it's a good one where you can extract and replace the bit without the spring not wanting to cooperate. This one's going to sit flat. It's very rare that I actually think, I might keep that. The other thing going for it, and I don't know how long this laser etching will last. They didn't even advertise that on the front either. I guess the picture might have showed it, but look at that. The size range. You got 1/8, you got 3/16, you got 1/4, you got 5/16, 3/8, 7/16, and half. It's only on one side, and again, that could wear. Obviously, we're going to have to use these. If you have them, leave a comment, let people know. Flipping it around, I love the fact that they were somehow able to etch the laser engrave, I should say, the Mayhew logo there. So really cool. Doesn't really mean much, but it's nice. Again, especially if, let's say, you leave one of these in car under the hood of the vehicle. Customer gets home and they're like, what is this beautiful thing? And they're like, wow, man, I'd love to have a set of these at work, but I don't know what it is. It's just some like a golden hex bit. And then if they flip it over and they see Mayhew, hopefully they'll be able to figure out that it's their dual drive set. So, are the bits and the rail from Taiwan? Are the bits in America? I don't know. I would assume if the bits were American, they would say that. It would be like bits made in America, rail imported from Taiwan. It's likely all from over there. But again, there's no clear breakdown I could find, so I cannot tell you. Fear not, we're going to play with all of these at the end of the video. Again, timestamps if you're new here. I do that for your convenience, same with the links. Stepping up in the part number game, 16005. This is basically the same thing. It's just metric. You're going to see that beautiful rail there. You're going to see the gold titanium nitride bits. You're going to see the laser labeled on there. This is 2 through 13. Again, you're getting an extra one. 2, 2.5, 3, 4. There's no 4.5, interestingly. 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 12, 13. Keep in mind that statement comes from a guy that doesn't like to use metric stuff because I prefer the past. Might be able to read this box a little easier. I think this one's, wherever I threw that one's been through the ringers a bit more. It says the exact same stuff. So let's go ahead and pop this guy out. Now, some of you are going to notice something right off the bat and be appalled by it. Others will get excited. I don't know the breakdown. I'm holding it here for a reason. This is also oriented backwards of how I'd prefer. I can easily change that. Here is the thing, okay? You'll note we have 3 things here to look at. You're like, what are they? This should be the same thing, just metric, right? No. Think in your box, okay? Way back up there at the top of the Omega M, we've got the SAE Hex on a yellow rail. Here in my hand, we've got the metric on an orange rail. There, the Torx that we haven't opened, we have a green rail. That's color coding. It's Mayhew's color coding. It may be different than your color coding if you color code at all. Some of you could care less about that. In terms of having things divided out, so you quickly like, okay, orange is metric, yellow is SAE. The good news is I think you could swap these if you wanted to. If you'll note, there's a vacant spot right here. You see this hole that I said we could hang from a hook? You don't see that here. If I flip it over, that's totally there. Why? There's an extra peg there because it's 10 pieces versus 11 pieces. So if you have a setup, which would be pretty cool, it would be like Ernst High Vis, I suppose, is about the only way to do this. If yellow or high vis is metric, you can swap these, right? Hopefully orange works for you. If you're like me and you do SAE on orange and metric on green, there you go. Now some of you, I know what you're doing. I know my viewers quite well. You're already jumping ahead. You're like, whoa, whoa, hey. You said there were triple squares and then like the Phillips bit rail. What colors are those? Triple square is going to be purple. And the screwdriver headed bits, which again I should really pay more attention. I'd mainly be there for the Phillips. I don't know if there's posi. I really, like I said, I should have paid better attention to that. But these were my guinea pigs, the ones I figured I'd use the most. Ironically, that's where the world has progressed. Triple square, you know, unless you're like dealing with Volkswagen, Audi stuff, might be last on your list as well. Now, if you're in that sector, they're probably going to come up first, and you would never touch SAE Hex, right? So everyone's different. Think of that. Don't just replicate what I do. But I have to say, while it's not like my exact color schemes, you know, orange and green, blue and green type of a thing, these both look really good. This is like a true orange. Again, if I come in over here, hopefully some of you have the PB Swisson orange. You can see this is darker, this is lighter. I also have a really good comparison here. It's going to be awkward as all get out for me to get it up here, but I'm in the midst of trying to convert Nanos over to the MTS because we just get such good deals on them. So the MTS is like a real orange, and this is basically the plastic iteration of the MTS rail. At least that's how I would describe it. Gotta have two hands to fix this mess. And, if you're curious on that Nano socket fronts, we have one big issue with my plan. This is totally unrelated to what we're doing, but this little right there, that 930 seconds, guess what a label MTS doesn't make is? Not quarter, not 3/8, not half. Yeah, it's 930 seconds. Doesn't matter the drive size, they just don't have one. And visually and aesthetically, that creates quite the controversy if you care about those things. I'm sure many of you can relate there. So the half-inch, beautiful. I mean, I've got no issues with these suckers. I'm going all the way across the Metric. I have the big 3/8 set. You know, I kind of got in on them later, so I didn't have to buy the half and the 3/8. I just, well, 3/8 goes all the way. I've done some really cool stuff with those on a rail, and that 930 seconds is really ticking me off. But yeah, the Metrics right here, again, 11 pieces. Very, very nice. Again, this is essentially, if we looked at this side and you didn't know the colors, you wouldn't know if this was SAE or Metric. But super nice. We'll pull the 13 off here. Really, really cool. Now, I am interested in how these bigger hex sizes would hold up. I think they would do fine. But typically, you know, you think of driving that with like 3/8 or something. Maybe it's a deal where you can break it free with a stubby and then come in and run it out with that and save time. I don't know yet. But moving on, again, we'll kind of demo these here towards the end. We've got this one to take a look at, and it is the Dual Drive 11-piece Torx Bit Set. If we zoom in here and get her to focus, you'll see the part number is 16003. That's right, they actually made this before they did the others, which, like I said, that's the world we're living in now, unfortunately. If we get this back in form, I did a quick scan for the spider thing. We've got a T10, 15, 20, 25, 27, 30, 40, 45, 47, 50. How many times do we bring in Torx sets and you hear me complain about there not being a T50? You're like, what would you ever do with a T50? It's seat belts. That's exactly what I do. They're constantly in the way. And then T55. This is a very, very comprehensive set. Some of you might prefer to see a little bit smaller, but for what it is, like, this is very, very nice range of Torx bits. So if we open this one up, are you ready to see the green? I know that's what some of you are probably the most interested in. It's a fantastic green. It really is. Again, they all follow the same orientation. I think they might have loaded them up this way because if you did elect to hang these, I'm not sure how many people would, but then you've got the heaviest at the bottom. Kind of makes sense with gravity and everything. But there they are. Very, very nicely done. Again, you get a little bit more to look at with the Torx. Did they call these Torx? Yes, they did. So they paid a little extra and don't have to call them Star because they licensed the name. But I tell you what, these rails, they're not that bad. They're pretty good. Now, if you look at these three side by side here, you'll note they're the exact same length, exact same construction, different colors, but these just fill out one peg more. Now, I'm going to go ahead here and rip the 1/8 off. And let's see here, we'll press down with our little handy dandy Hazette. So I just popped this using that. All you do, You're going to take that and you press down, and this comes out. I wonder, I'm not sure that I've got pegs like that. To put it in, I just snapped it past. There you go. So again, just a little flat blade pocket screwdriver will take care of that for you. Let's actually put the 1/8 inch back. I'm gonna grab something that's a little easier for you to see. We're gonna go with the 1/2 inch, okay? So let's say you've got a situation, really it's probably a better example with the 1/4, but I'm just using the bigger one for a visual. And let's say that you've got a situation where you've got some hex bit sockets and they look more like this. All right, this is a Wiha set on an Ernst rail with the Duro clips. And you're like, what's a Duro clip? You're like, you got to twist to unlock that. You should know this more than anyone. That. Do you see that clip? It's like a friction fit type of a thing, right? So what these are here for, change Torx to hex, and you can actually do that on these. If you'll note, this little black thing that I'm not even going to try to focus on, that is a tiny, tiny set screw. What that's designed to do, if I can't rip that out, I can come in here, I can punch that out, and I could come and I could take any standard 1/4 bit, and I could plug it in and run that set screw. So if I hate this set, and I'm like, I wish this was Phillips, you know, I have these fancy titanium Torx now, I can change all of that out. That is kind of the advantage here. This is 3H drive though, but look how much material we're using. This whole big form factor area is your 3H drive, right? Your square anvil. You get here where you neck down, that's holding your bit with the set screw towards the top. So you've got all that area that's going to be something you have to contend with, and the only 3H ratchet here is the Titan. That's not reassuring, is it? Let's try that again. Apparently we need to hold down on the anvil, but we've now done this, okay? So you're like, yeah, you could totally break something free with that. Cool, I like it. It's gonna be fine. Well, now look at this. If I hold this up here, picture if this Titan was 1/4, I'm basically right past where this one's terminating, okay? And I'm not picking on Wiha here, this is just the closest bit sockets I had. I can come in here and we can do one of several things, right? I can take this tiny little Koken. Look what we've done. We have put a 1/2 inch hex on a super thin, super compact ratchet with a flex head, which will allow us even more funkiness to get into odd angles and everything. Granted, with a cap screw, anytime you're going to be running this in, what are you going to have to contend with? You're going to have this recess into the fastener, so you may be limited. Maybe it's a deal where you can get that head in there and you have the space, then boom, you know, break it free, run it out. Very, very absurdly compact. If we just line these ratchets up end to end, again, the Koken's significantly thinner, but look what we're doing there, okay? If we come in and we just do the bit, okay, ratchet head down, that's a significant savings of space. All right, this would be a just fine thing. The other thing that I don't think people are probably thinking of, not only will that fit the square drive on the Koken, but picture any extension you've got, right? This is going to plug and play if you need to run something out by hand, or we come in here with one of my favorite tools from Stahlwille, the locking 1/4 drive spinner. This thing's locked. Let's say that you were ripping the head off, you don't have quick release Kokens. This is going to give us, basically, we can convert all of these into spinners, nut drivers, whatever you want to call them. And with this being a locking mechanism, it's not going to get ripped off in weird angles. If you're thinking like weird angles, nut drivers, I've got light bulbs going off in my head. Well, you probably do, because if you follow the channel, you know that I'm a big fan of Koken's Wobble fix. We're going to go straight into the fixed mode, so this would be kind of a side drive. Really, the size of this, all I really think of is like hex and oil gallery plugs, right? I'm sure there's other uses, but for 1/2 inch, that's usually what I'm thinking of, and they're typically, at least Chrysler engines, you're straight up, straight to the side, or it's on the side of the block type of a thing. But let's say that there is something weird. If you can just come in, and I'm not advocating that you do this, but if we could come at this angle, let's say that over here we've got K-member, you got like a remote oil filter or maybe a trans cooler or something mounted to the side, and you can't run it like this, right? You'd be into the, at this point with this long of a shaft, you'd be at a point where you're inside the inner fender, okay? If we take this and we go into wobble mode and we're here, if I can just break that. This could even be a deal where if you could get an L key in and a pipe and maybe break it free and then come in with this and run it out. I think with the type of fasteners you'd be using, you'd run a really big risk of having this happen, all right, which is where the lock would be nice. But if you can get the high torque stuff done, or just run it in like this and then torque it, I think these could be a very, very big addition for people. Another great example here would be on a Roto. Again, picture, if you will, your selection of extensions, whatnot. Right here, we're coming in, we basically break it, and then we come up and we just run the thing out. Look how compact that is. Again, I'm going to come in here and grab the Titan and the Wiha. Yeah, that is enough to make a significant difference. It's usually a game of inches, like tiny, tiny fractions of an inch, between you being able to do what you want to do and not being able to do what you need to get done. So, you've seen a Ratchet, you've seen Rotos, you've seen spinner handles and extensions, if you will think of this as an extension similarly. But what if I told you you could even make this more compact? Now, if you look at these bits, everything here is pretty small until you get to this half, okay? It's probably going to be the same way on these others as well, but I've got a couple of wrenches here, and of course me, being old school, having this as my target purchase number one, SAE, what do I want to see? SAE size. What do I do on screwdrivers with the bolsters? I'm like, oh, let's see what this is. And in this case, I have got where's my SAE? Half-inch here, should be. And I can place this in the confines. That is a pretty tight fit. If I come to the side here so you can get a better look, you could easily call that half. Some of you are like, well, I'll try 13 millimeter. Okay, fine, we will. Okay. The 13 has a bit more slop in it. This is where you get into questions. Like, they don't actually specify. You know, use with a 7/16 and half-inch wrench. Use with an 11 and a 13. I don't know what they want me to do. I know Mayhew is based in America. I know Mayhew's website, like on the overall length on this, they're old school, but I do know that they're probably made in Taiwan, which would probably necessitate that they would be metric by default. But again, there's just more play there. Now, if we go to the box end on the Stahlwille, that'll totally work, but it's got a bit of play. If we come to the half-inch, again, half-inch on half-inch, that has significantly less play. And I have nothing to gain from this. I'm not selling you wrenches. I'm just telling you this is a tighter fit than the 13. Some of you are screaming, idiot, you know, go down a size or two. Well, okay, well, let's come in here. And in SAE land, this whole thing up to the half is going to be smaller end, all right? What do I mean by that? Well, if I take this half-inch wrench and we try to throw it on the box end, it's just, whoa, what's going on there? You say, well, it doesn't fit at all, right? Better angle here for you. Look at that chasm that's created when you step down to the quarters. So what's going on? Well, we got to come in and we've got to find our 7/16. And if I take it and we hold it up, that is tight, right? Same thing over here on the box end. We line that sucker up. Boom. There is minimalistic play there. I know what you're saying. You're like, why use an 11 millimeter on Fords that come in when their batteries are trashed? Well, check it out. The 11 on the Stahlwille is a heck of a fit. I mean, I wouldn't even say the box end accepts it, right? Like, the tolerances there are too tight. Open end, it's kind of the same thing. If I wanted to hammer that in, we could. But I'm going to say it's a 7/16 and a half-inch, okay? Some of you are appalled by that, but keep in mind this is an SAE size set. Now, truth be told, I haven't played with these ahead of time, so we're going to grab this metric one. 7 millimeters, what was selected. The 11 is not fitting there either. So if I come in and we get a 7/16, this is what we want, okay? I think that kind of rests the case. 7/16 and half-inch versus 11 and 13. 13 will fit. The 11 just is a smidge too tight. We're just going to come in and grab this T45. Looking to me like it's going to be a 7/16, and it is. Once again, we come over here and we go to town. Now here's where things got interesting when I was playing with the Hex ones before I started filming. I went ahead and timed out there, but I've shown you open end, box end, spinners, ratchets, rotos, everything in between, right? So you're thinking like, okay, hey, you know what next level stuff would be? Stahlwilles would be awesome for super low clearance, but I'm lazy. I want the convenience of having a ratcheting wrench. I just grabbed the icons because they were in the cart where I grabbed something else we haven't brought up. If I put that in there, I guess this one does fit. Whatever I had earlier was not wanting to fit, but this truly is 7/16, as you can see there. Now there's no retaining ring here, right? You're gonna have to be careful, maybe like get this seated and then go to town, and then be aware when you pull that out and you're celebrating, if you turn it over, there goes your fastener and your bit, right? Be mindful of that. Let's see, on these, I almost feel like all of these might be 7/16. Interesting. So on the Torx, I would have thought they would have had a cutoff point. The entire rail, unless there's smaller ones that don't fit, which I think they will. Yeah, the entire rail of Torx bits, if you want to have a specialty wrench ready to go with these, 7/16. Okay, that's what you're going to need. The entire rail. There's no jump up to a 1/2 inch or anything like that. If I grab the 11mm icon, same thing, man. It just, you could force that in there. It would be a much, like, I don't want to say you couldn't do this, because you could hammer that in and then it's not going to drop, then that might be desirable to you. Again, especially some of you aren't going to use an 11. But 7/16 and a half is the way to go. Now this will take it, but if I have to say what tolerances are going to be tighter on a wrench, well, this is Icon versus Stahlwille, so I'm going to go with the Stahlwille. But again, the quick takeaway here, your entire set of Torx Dual Drive bits will be your 7/16. There is no jump. The SAE, your entire set, up until we get to half, I believe, is going to be 7/16. Conveniently in my hand, what do we have? Well, we've got the 7/16. And what is it going to take? It's going to take a 7/16 wrench. So right there, here's our Stahlwille. Boom. Everything on the hex rail up until we get to the biggest drive possible, which would be a 1/2 inch hex, is going to be 7/16. This is the outlier. It's going to require a 1/2 inch wrench. All the Torx 7/16, everything up to 1/2 inch is 7/16, 1/2 inch, conveniently for your memory, needs 1/2 inch. Now here, I feel like the 12 and the 13 are going to be 1/2 inch. So let's check here. We're going to grab our 7/16 wrench, and the big metric here, this, what was it, 10mm? It's going to fit a 7/16. If we come in and we grab our 12 right here, the 7/16 does not fit. It's not happening. You will have to go with a 1/2 inch wrench. Case in point, right there. So this, some of you might have these and be like, whoa, 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 hey man, I use an 11 on everything. I'm going with Stahlwille. What wrench am I most likely to have that I would want to trust holding on to these things? It would be a Stahlwille. And that's what I'm going to do. So Torx, to recap, 7/16 drive tool. Metric, 7/16 all the way up through your 10. Your 12 and your 13, your two biggest metrics, will require a 1/2 inch wrench. SAE, the entire rail is 7/16 until you get to the largest bit, which is 1/2 inch. It will conveniently require a 1/2 inch bit. So, would be cool if it was uniform across the board. I think they could have done that with 1/2 inch drive, obviously, but then you add bulk and material and mass to the smaller bits. I think what they did is just fine. So, you're like, what's that other item that you say you brought out, genius? Well, coming in over here, if you'll recall, I don't think, I nearly released this video today, it was recorded long ago, but I was trying to find tiny hex bits. These were something on the radar, but I couldn't get them as fast as I could say KC Tool. Proto, my Mac guy, didn't have anything stubby on the trail. That's every time Like, I have an immediate need, and it's even been a couple times when it's like his route day. I'll hit him up and I'm like, hey man, you have these? And he's like, not on the truck, I can order them. And I'm like, that kind of kills it for me, you know? But, I think Mac and Snap-on, I didn't really look at Matco, but Mac and Snap-on both have stubbies. What I wound up buying, I did get a Ghidorah one from KC Tool to get it quicker. What I really would have liked is the Hazette Titanium Nitride, which now we kind of have these for a lower price. But these Kokens, this is pretty small for a bit, right? We're going to come in and I'll just get the quarter. We're going to do like more of a apple to apple here. If I can get it off, should have picked the one on the end. This is going to be quarter drive, and it's 1/4 inch hex. This is very similar to our Wiha Torx Bit Set there, but these are a press fit. You'll notice I spin this around, there is nothing on the side holding that in. It's just a press fit. It's also significantly shorter. Again, I realize these things are 3/8 drive and designed differently, but just for comparison's sake, if this is what your hex bits were in, or maybe you had the Pittsburgh set, which again I think has been pretty good, this is their standard height, right? In Pittsburgh, they don't have something smaller. I do want to mention, this is not Koken's Z series. Koken's Z series presumably would be even more compact, possibly not the hex bit, but the socket itself, where that's where you change your OAL down a little bit in your advantage. The reason I didn't go Z series, one, they cost a lot more, and two, they don't have SAE. If they would have had SAE, I totally would have done that, and I probably would have just bought that. As is, I was able to get these in SAE and Metric, their shortest overall length and standard Koken sockets, for I think a little less than the Metric Z series would have been. So this right here though, 1/4. We come into our yellow rail, which hopefully you've learned by Mayhew standards is going to be SAE. Check this out. Look at that. That's really bad because my finger's angling. But if I get these end to end here, that's a significant difference. That is very impressive. Again, case in point, this is going to pair beautifully. The Koken socket with, again, the quick release. I get so freaked out by having that. When you never had a quick release on a Koken and you had all these other Kokens, then all of a sudden you're like, oh geez, yeah, that's why it's not working. Right there, take a gander at that, and then if I throw this Mayhew in, keep in mind these are both quarters. Look at the difference. That is significance. Again, this by any sort of standards is very compact. Case in point, I mean, just look at that again. I know that's 3/8 versus 1/4, but this is what most of us are going to be rocking, 3/8 and 1/2 bits like this. If you come in and you paid for the 1/4, it would be specialty access reasons. It's not for torque, it's not for leverage, it's not because you break the 3/8 or your halves. It's to get in places you can't with these. This would be an excellent tool. However, if I come in, I should have grabbed a another Koken, but it is what it is. We'll just grab this Titan because it's handy, and I think the colors will actually help a little. Look at that. That is just crazy. So yeah, this is great. This is greater. Like in terms of access, it's a pretty sweet setup what Mayhew's done here. I kind of think these are sort of under the radar, which is a shame. I'm sure they're rebranded on, I would think Matco would have them. I don't know if anyone else does, but titanium nitride coating, super stubby. You can run these with a ratchet. You can run these with a spinner handle. You can put them on an extension and hand spin it. You can put these in a wrench. You can put these in a ratcheting wrench. If you had, and I feel like I might have, I don't know why, but I think I have a wrench that's half with the retaining ring. Mayhew could essentially make a ratcheting wrench, sort of like the K-Star style, and put one of those springs in it that would hold these. You know, one side would be 7/16, this side's half. They'd probably want it a little longer, actually. But this would be fan-frickin-tastic. 1 second here, I'm going to do one more thing for you. Alright, so in this hand, I've got, again, what is a stereotypical thing people are going to have with them. And I went metric for you people. This is 4mm. This is from Harbor Freight. These are actually pretty good, I'm not going to lie, especially when you consider you can get these for sub $10 across the board. This one is 3/8. I don't know that they have quarter, but this is basically what you have with the Wiha stuff, right? Note that the Wiha a little bit stubbier on the bit side because we don't have that extra step before we kick down to the drive size you want. If we go to the metric rail and we grab the 4, just feels wrong for me to have metric on orange. But, look at that. All right, so if this is what you have and they've been great to you, but you're like, man, I need something super tight and I can't do it with an L key. Look at this. I mean, like, right here. Basically, if I rest the tip of the Mayhew 4mm, we're getting everything done, including our drive-in connection, in the same length it takes them to step down and go to the 4mm hex. Absolutely bonkers. So glad that we picked these up. Again, I think one of the times I mentioned the whole forklift struggle, I think it might have been boosted, and maybe another one or two of you said, hey, you should look at the Mayhews. Yeah, these are totally legit. Again, I don't know how they're going to perform if it's like my other Mayhew stuff, and the fact there's a lifetime warranty, and the fact that I've had really good luck with pretty cheap S2 tool steel bits from other manufacturers. I feel pretty good about it. But this is one more little freak thing for you. Actually, two. But remember these guys? This is the fixed head. This is not the one that grenaded on us. It's very close to doing that. But we can just come in, well, what did we grab? A T45. Check this out. You got a push button. You now have, basically, think of this as your wrench scenario, but it's going to be just a smidge more compact than your Ratchet. Okay. So right there again, just comparing that, could we put this on the Koken? Yes, but again, I'm eliminating having a handle, having anything there. And some of you are like, well, hey, that's cool, but there would be a better option. And yeah, this is the one that we had to replace because it died live in front of the camera. Right here, this long monster with, that's right, the flex head. Okay, you kind of see what I'm doing here, right? We take this thing, if I can get my thumb to function today, get that there. We've now basically got the same, man, that's it's a ticking time bomb, folks, but if it does work long enough for your application, it could be a lifesaver. You got 90-degree option here, super slim profile. You can get in at weird angles. You're like going underneath hoses or something to an intake. Really, really nice options here. So hats off to Mayhew on these suckers. Again, if you were not aware of these, what do you think? Are you planning to go purchase some immediately? If so, what sets? Do you find situations where you would say, man, you know, these Metric Hex will be lifesavers. I'd never need a Torx that stubby. Is it vice versa? Is it the same thing? The bottom line, I would not advocate for using these all the time. If you can fit this, your 3/8 drive in, that's your standard affair stuff. If you've got other bit sockets, maybe even like this or something from Koken, Roto, Elkin, Bond, whatever you've got, I would run those every chance that you can. But in the event where your big, you know, 2-inch Elkin doesn't fit because it's too big, don't saw it off, don't do anything crazy. Come in and run one of these and you'll be glad that you've got them. Again, keeping them kind of to truly a specialty application was going to limit wear, it's going to limit the chances they have to break. That said, some of you might be in situations where you have to have something of a similar size to this and it's used constantly. If you're in that boat, how have these held up if you have them? If you don't have these and you're like, man, I know something just a stubby that's great, I've got 20 years with them, tell people. Because again, this is kind of specialty stuff is the way I would view it all, and these are very well done. The price for a very nice rail that's actually size, I hate it when you get like this from Wiha is great as well, but I would not want this set on a 13-inch Ernst rail. I would not want, if we had a 18-piece Torx set, you know, we get all the tiny sizes and we go up to like T60 or something crazy, I wouldn't want that rail to be here and have dead space, right? This is well executed. I'm totally fine that there's a missing slot here because it keeps the same form factor. I'm going to go out on a limb and guess that the purple triple square and the blue screwdriver bits would also fit this same thing. This is going to look great in a box. It's going to be awesome to see it color coded. Again, if you hate all the colors, well, look at this. We take our Ernst here, we'll even flip it the way they've got it. An 8-inch Ernst rail is probably going to house every single one of these. So if you want to do everything in blue, you can do that. If you want everything red, you can do that. If you want to divide it, you can make that happen. But man, these are really, really cool. I am putting the driver bits, which again, you'd think that'd be the first thing I buy, but the world has just changed so much. I do think those would be very beneficial now that I've seen these and played with them a little. Consider me impressed. I'm going to put that on my short list. That said, I'd prefer not to pay $80 for it, so I'm going to be looking for some $47 range like that guy was, or maybe even in the, I'd say if you can get it 65 or under, you're doing well, especially if you can stack a coupon with it. But these are super cool, very, very impressive. I think I will switch. I'm going to do, just because it's what I know and the way I've set it up, and I have the colors to do it. So the green rail is going to get these metrics, the orange rail will get my SAE, and then the Torx will go to yellow. I think that's the way it's going to pan out best for me. So sweetness and these texts, very important. I was just asked if I want to get a chicken fried steak, and the answer to that, even though it's 100 degrees now, is yes. So I'm going to end it on that, which is the happiest note you can ever end a video on, is I'm going to get chicken fried steak. But, these are super cool. Do not be shocked if you see more of these. If you need a comparison, if you want me to bust out the mic and get these things lined up and, oh, hey, look, you know, 0.62, 0.52, plus 0.1. If you want that sort of a thing, let me know. This is just the tool haul and introduction to it. If you want like fine out, geeked out measurements and, ooh, you know, let me go find some of these in quarter drive and get you the real differences, tell me. I'll try to make it happen at some point, but these are killer. These are super, super cool. I'm thrilled to have them. I'm kind of shocked it's a 7/16 It might vary based on your wrench set, but for me, with Stahlwille, the 7/16 seems to be the way to go. That's fine by me, because that's what I have handy the most of the time, so I'm good with it. If you're wondering what that is, seeing if I can grenade this one on camera again. I'll tell ya, I'm gonna go pick up some chicken fried steak, man, and try to cool off a little before they question what the man doing dripping sweat is. But yeah, fantastic little product. Again, time will tell. Excellent, excellent. Could not do better bench impression wise. They could still suck, they could still be terrible. I could break 3 of them on my first ever time using them. They might not take much torque, they might take a ton of torque, they might last me a lifetime, and my nephew winds up breaking one in 60 years. I don't know. Initial impressions though, fan-frickin-tastic. Love these things. Some of you I know have had these. Let people know how long you've had them, how they've held up versus other known brands, what you had previously, where you're using these, if you use them all the time because they're that good and don't wear, if you keep it for limited use. That's where your first-hand feedback and experience comes into play. Again, the end goal, simply to help people out. If everyone bought these that watches the video, I don't see a dime. I don't care about that. I've got them here. I'm happy. The end goal, just to help people out. And if you were ever going to experiment with tools, though, I think these would be things well worth having, especially just a great addition anywhere, in my opinion. So I'm going to quit rambling, go get chicken fried steak. I hope you enjoyed, hope you learned a little something. Some of you may have some information to add. With that said, you know the drill. If you like the video, leave a like, leave a comment, let me know your thoughts. If you like multiple videos, or you want to tune in because you think, man, he's going to go buy that screwdriver bit set and I want to see what's included, I encourage you to subscribe. If you do that, ring the bell, jump your charger across the creek while changing your Mayhew Dual Drive Bit Sets from one rail to the other to fit your personal color standards. YouTube just might notify you we got new videos every Wednesday and Saturday, 9 a.m. Texas time. With that said, thanks so much for watching, and I hope I catch you back here for more from the shop.